should have pulled that trick and turned off the mic. I thought that was a good one earlier whenever someone did that. My name is Kurt Nicholson, and I am a Clark County Council at Large candidate, Libertarian Party. I do want to thank David again. I know he's been thanked multiple times, but appreciate the opportunity to be here. I am not a lifelong resident of Clark County or of Indiana. I grew up in the state of Illinois, and I crossed over the Wabash River multiple times coming over to Indianapolis and visiting Kentucky and different places, and I kept thinking, this is like the promised land. And so eventually my wife and I moved down to the Jeffersonville area. We've lived in Jeffersonville now, I guess since 2004, so I've been here for 12 years. Married, I've been married to my wife Rose since 1984. Graduated from high school, and a month later we got married. We're still together. So got one son. His name's Blake. He serves in the United States Air Force. He's married. That's a little bit about me. As far as like background, I attended Bible college, and I worked in Christian ministry for many, many years, private Christian education. I was a pastor for a little while. And over the last few years, I had a small business for a little while where I sold life insurance products and worked in that area. Now I work for BB&T Bank over in Louisville, Kentucky, but again, live here in Jeffersonville. From a political kind of point of view, you've heard lots of libertarians up here. I think it's the year for some people at least considering some different options. I think that my own philosophy on government is the smaller the better, but I think that we have to realize we do have to have some government. There has to be some cooperation. You can't live in a county or a city or an area and not have some cooperation and some government. We've heard a lot of talk about that. For me personally, I don't have a lot of political experience. I've had a lot of political interest over the years, paid attention for many, many years. I think what I would bring would just be, I think, a fresh set of eyes. Just somebody with a little bit different perspective. I like to think of myself as very nonpartisan. I think when you're a libertarian, you kind of have that free spirit, so you can kind of look at things and decide, hey, is this really working or is this not working? That would be a philosophical point of view. As far as the budget issue, that's been brought up. Now, I think just about every candidate has brought up Clark County budget woes. There's probably no easy solution to that, or it would already be solved. Am I right about that? If it were easy, it would already be done. I think 4 things that, as kind of a little bit of a newcomer, I would look at 4 different areas to try to help balance that budget. Number 1, I think you've got to use attrition. When people do leave, if that position is not necessary, I think you've got to think about not filling that position again. I think one of our folks mentioned earlier about county roads working from 60, now 35 employees. So that would be one example. I think another thing we have to look at is what the county doing? Is it either mandated, because obviously if it's the law, we have to comply with the law. That's been brought up multiple times. But also, where we do have some discretion, is it necessary? If it's neither one of those, I think we have to really take a cold hard look and say, maybe we shouldn't be paying for this. That would help a little bit on the budget. A third thing, excuse me, I think on the budget would also be, and it's been brought up, how we need the state, because there are state mandates. Now, if I'm elected to Clark County Council, I think one of the things that we need to do, I think we have to take responsibility for Clark County. Okay, that's a very much a libertarian and a freedom kind of idea. I'm responsible for me, I'm responsible for my home, and I'm responsible for my county. So we have to take responsibility for that. But when outside forces are impacting us, then we have to learn how to do things and work together. And so I think you've got to forge some relationships. I've seen Mr. Stemler many times, but I don't know him on a personal level. But that would be something that I think that if I'm elected to Clark County Council, I would want to get to know Mr. Simler a little bit better. I would want to get to know how I could help, what we could do to mobilize some people to hey, if Mishawaka, that's been brought up, they maybe have some similar problems. So we do need to figure out ways to be able to cooperate with one another and work together. The TIF districts were mentioned. Economic revitalization areas, tax abatements, okay? I think Mr. Vissing mentioned River Ridge, okay? My understanding of tax increment financing is the increment means increase. Do I understand that right? So as the revenues increase, there should be more money coming in. If those funds stay in a specific area of the county, I'm not super smart, okay? But if they stay in the specific area of the county, that means the county at large is not gaining from that. Now, I'm not saying all tax increment financing districts are bad, or all tax abatements are bad, or all economic. That's not what I'm saying. I do think, though, we need to take a look at it and see. Time's up? Okay.